Live from the Heartland is back on this Saturday morning of 40th anniversary of Earth Day time. A couple days ago, we were happy to celebrate it here with Yama and the Karma Dusters, Al Goldberg, on the re-release of his CD that was released 40 years ago on Earth Day. For those of you who want to check that out, we've got it here at the Heartland General Store. It was a great nostalgic kind of moment, but amazingly prescient their music was 40 years ago. We are so lucky in Rogers Park for so many reasons: our proximity to the lake, our great community engagement. But a couple of the examples of great community engagement are sitting with me now. Jonathon Dixon, Colleen Sen. Welcome back to Live from the Heartland.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you.
You guys are very active members of the Rogers Park West Ridge Historical Society.
Yes.
Which has been in existence how long?
Since 1975.
75, a year before the Heartland started.
Is that right?
Yes. So you guys have a good event coming up. I'm going to ask you about a couple things, but let's start off with your event for tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow we are is the opening of our exhibit, and it's a week before the actual house walk that we do every year. And the name of this exhibit is called "A Park in Your Front Yard: Indian Boundary Park and the Gubbins, McDonald, and Bleats Co-ops." It's a very long name, but it's going to be in the Indian Boundary Cultural Center, which is 2500 West Lunt. It's one of those beautiful old field houses.
You know what? It's the park that a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, is there a park with animals around here? Is there a zoo in a park nearby?"
Well, there is a zoo. The zoo's been cut back from its glory days, but there's still a few animals there. I think there's 4 goats and there's some other things there.
But the beautiful pool, the lagoon.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's one of the glories of the neighborhood. And what is absolutely spectacular are these beautiful co-op buildings that surround it, that were built in 1926-27 by these developers. And they were built to emulate an English castle. And the people who live there would have their own private park, which is Indian Boundary Park. Mm-hmm. And this exhibit is going to it's going to commemorate. It's going to show what the park was like in the old days, historic photos, that kind of thing.
So people will actually be touring those buildings?
Well, not the actual house walk is May 2nd. There's 2 events. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. The exhibit itself opens tomorrow, which is Sunday, April 25th, right?
And that's in the field house.
That's in the field house, and there's going to be a reception from 3 to 5 p.m. And there's going to be a short program at 4 p.m. And there's going to be a coffee and dessert. And this is the opening of the exhibit. The exhibit is going to be on display for several weeks. I'm not quite... You know, Jonathon, how long...
For a few weeks.
For a few weeks. Right. And then the following week, May 2nd, is the house walk, where we will actually go inside these and other buildings.
Mm-hmm. And I know there's a price tag, which we won't include right now with the house walk.
Yes, and it's one of the lowest priced ones in the whole Chicago area. I'll only say that.
It's completely affordable for those of you interested in really luxuriating in our great history and some of the real gifts of the neighborhood. What's important, Jonathon, when you plan these events? The Indian Boundary Park event, I know, is just overdue, basically, in my mind, because that park is such a gem.
Exactly.
What is important to you, and what keeps you so engaged in preserving and enhancing the history knowledge of our neighbors about our neighborhood?
Well, probably like all of us, as soon as we get involved in these kinds of, some events, some projects, some research item, we keep uncovering new and fascinating aspects of the history.
Well, I got to ask, such as? What do you have in mind there?
Well, I don't know what salacious scandal we've got on this one.
We love salacious.
Well, come to think of, last year's an example where on our house tour we had a house that one of the early developers in Rogers Park lived on the street where we featured on last year's tour, and there was a big write-up in the newspapers at the time, back in the 1920s, about it being a love nest it was a love triangle or something going on. Then there was an explosion in the house, which was mysterious and someone unaccounted for, and that, and on and on. Now that's the salacious stuff, of course. But there's also it's interesting to know about. Where these buildings that we see all the time, this park, for example.
Yes.
A lot of memories. People who've been around the neighborhood a long time remember that zoo, remember the bears they had in the zoo, things like that, and to learn where did that come from, and also, frankly, a lot of the homeowners there now are younger people, and they're interested in learning too about who was there first, and once they learn about that, and then they have a deeper appreciation of where they are, and that's the goal.
That is the goal, right? Now, you guys have been sort of homeless for a while as a society. I mean, you're in that place on Western, right?
Right.
I just saw something recently, and that's why I'm asking. Looking for space, basically to house an exhibit.
Right.
Do you know about that?
Sure. Our long-range plan is to have a permanent home, and that's underway.
Any luck with the fire station? Are we not supposed to talk about that?
That's still on the table. And we're looking for that.
We have
Absolutely.
talked about that on this show before.
Sure.
Because we're rooting for it. What else should the fire station be? But the historical society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we do have a home on Western, 7344 Northwestern Avenue. We're looking for an interim home for the time being. We'd like to have a storefront with more visibility, where we could be open more hours.
That'd be great.
Have an attractive exhibit. People walking by will be drawn in. I think it would enhance the community, enormously.
That guy who just left here might be of some assistance in this.
Okay.
I think he helped the Edgewater Historical Society get a hold of their fire station many years ago.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry for interrupting on that, but I just thought I'd remind you, the state rep.
We'll take help where we can get it.
Yes, exactly. So the exhibits that is opening up, is that made up of old photos, old preserved posters, that sort of thing?
Yes, it is. It's the exhibit will have all that, and then there's going to be a short talk on the history of the park as well. And if I could just say a little bit about the house tour itself on May 2nd, because that's our main event, and there's going to be 15 sites on it. It's going to include it's going to include the park itself, the field house, the park gables and park castles, and which have two of the most spectacular swimming pools you've ever seen. They were designed in the 20s. They're like something out of a movie. They're Art Deco. They're like Pompeii, and very rarely does the public get a chance to see these.
That's right. I remember that.
You've seen those, yeah.
I have actually not seen them. But I used to have someone who lived in that building before it went condo. Or no, it's always been a co-op.
It's always been co-op, yeah.
Right. But I knew someone who lived there, and stories of late night dips and all that sort of thing.
And then there's going to be some houses, some single-family homes as well that are going to be on the tour. And so if people do want to attend, they can go to our website.
Yes.
And the website is www.rpwrhs. I know it's long. It stands for Rogers Park West Ridge Historical Society.org. And you can actually register online. You can do PayPal, credit cards. We're really geared up for that. Or you can register on site. And the register starts at 11:30 Sunday, May 2nd, between 11:30 and 3:30 on May 2nd at the Indian Boundary Park Fieldhouse.
At the Fieldhouse.
Right.
And who's the fellow at the Fieldhouse?
Phil Martini?
Phil Martini.
Sure.
What a great guy.
Yep.
He does a lot of good work there with the neighborhood. Great programs at that Fieldhouse, and it is a gem of the neighborhood. And I'm so glad you guys are keeping it safe. One last question. A couple weeks ago, neighbors voted. We covered the whole participatory budgeting process here. And one of the things that won, or that came in the top group of chosen activities, was historical markers for the neighborhood. Now, I know you guys maybe didn't put that together, because I asked you before the show, but isn't it something that people
Absolutely.
voted that way?
The fact that won must mean that we're doing our job right, I suppose.
think so. I think so. That's right.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
when we, thanks to the Rogers Park books that were put together by you all
Right.
a couple of years ago, some time back, and our great friend, the late Mary Jo Doyle, was instrumental in getting those books done. I mean, which taught all of us that, Field School used to be the site of a beautiful birch forest. And that sort of knowledge about our neighborhood, which now is winding up on the murals that get painted.
Isn't that amazing?
I love that. I love that. So there is something to being connected to what went before.
Yes.
There really is something important to it.
Absolutely.